Over to this computer. So, all right, well, welcome to our Zoom session. We're going to be discussing the topic of this mock interview assignment. Now, years ago for this class, I've been teaching it for a while now. I would typically just give you a proposal to write, like a 5-page proposal, and it would be more of a written assignment. And we realized that the SLOs for the course, which are student learning outcomes, included an SLO about doing interviewing and interviewing skills and things like that. And so what I did is I changed the class to make the last modules focus all on, uh, you know, employment skills, writing, employment communications, and then of course doing the mock interview. And it went over really well. The students really enjoyed doing it, and I think they learned a lot from it. And it, especially if they're going to be getting a job in the near future, it was really a great trial run for many of them. And it's kind of an easy assignment. In all honesty, it's actually an easy 200 points compared to writing a report. I promise you that you will spend 5 times more time writing a proposal than you will doing the mock interview and all the preparation that'll go into it. And I think it'll be ultimately, at the end of the day, a much better experience than writing a proposal. So that's why we're going to do it. And so basically, what it really boils down to is you have the option of either being interviewed, which I highly encourage you to do. And it helps me because I usually have a lot less people willing to be interviewed than who will do the other role, and that is to interview somebody else. So you get to choose one or the other, right? You either get to interview somebody or you're going to be interviewed by a group of people. Usually it's four is the ideal. So you need to decide. But again, I kind of need people to also be interviewed. Most students sign up to interview somebody else. But there's equal amount of work for either one that you do. And so I'm going to explain all that to you in the assignment instructions. So let me share my screen. And if we go to our course in Canvas, there is a folder. And I think, Sapan, you might have asked me about this. I'm not sure. A few students have asked, like they couldn't find it. So you guys are seeing my modules right now. Is that correct? And you should see right in the middle of the screen mock interview. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I just want to make sure. Sometimes I have two screens, so sometimes I don't actually share the right screen. I did, and I think in one of my videos I didn't share the screen I wanted to share, and I was talking all about it and realized halfway through the video that they weren't seeing the right screen. So anyway, so here's the mock interview assignment. It's at the end of this week, and that's only because I want students to become aware that as we start this last module, this is kind of the big assignment. So if you remember, in module one, you had the individual presentation that you did. That was kind of the big assignment. And then the second module was all the business writing. So you were doing all those different documents, which, by the way, I apologize. I got way behind on grading those, and I'm very disappointed because I like you to be able to read my feedback and apply it to your next document. So I will be a little gracious on your letters that you did this week, but I'll still be rough on you on the emails. So that I didn't grade yet. So hoping to get to those later today. But the third module, the big assignment, then is this mock interview. So I'm going to select the folder, and you certainly can go in there anytime and read these things. So there's the recorded Zoom session from last semester. So I'm going to put this one we're doing now in there when we're done, and the date is incorrect. So this must be done. I haven't changed any of this stuff. Sorry about that. I'm just overloaded this semester for sure. So this is going to be by the last day of class. I'm just going to do the mock interviews. Oh, by one of the mock interviews by, no, not this Sunday. I'm going to have to change all that in a minute. So let's just say, what's next week? 5/4/25. We'll just say that for now. 5/4. I might have to change that. I got to go look, see. So the idea here is you sign up for an interview, and you might say, well, how do I sign up for an interview? Well, it's pretty easy. There's going to be, and they're already there, but they're just, the dates are wrong, and I need to change the date and time on them. But if you go back to modules and you scroll down, you'll see the mock interview assignment that we're talking about now. And if you go into the next 2 weeks, you have all these mock interviews. Now, these are all incorrect, and they're not, the dates are not set and the times are not set. I'll be doing that, and I'm going to give you, I think, 6 different days and times to choose from. Some will be during the day, some will be at night, some will be on the weekend. And all you'll do to sign up for your interview is you'll click whichever one works for you based on date and time. And then you'll come in and this was from last semester, but you basically come to the bottom, you click reply, it opens up a box and you type in that box, I want to interview somebody or I want to be interviewed. That's all you need to say. And then I'll explain in a minute what you do in addition to that if you choose one or the other. But that's how you sign up for a particular date. You just go to one of the folders and then you pick it, you open it, you type in, reply, and then type in your response. So that's the first thing. So you need to decide whether or not you want to be interviewed or whether you want to interview somebody else. And we'll have again 6 probably different meetings, 3 a week for the last 2 weeks of the class, not counting finals week. So the week 2 weeks prior to finals. So selecting a day and time again, just select it. I already said that. Click reply and type whether or not you want to be interviewed or whether you want to interview somebody else. Now, if you choose to be interviewed, that's the first box here. Basically, you need to write, I want to be interviewed. And then the work that you need to do is you need to attach your resume and your cover letter and then the job description for which you wrote your resume and cover letter. Now, if you remember, the discussion post assignment for the 3rd module that also opened this week is doing a job search. So you're supposed to go on to Indeed, Monster, LinkedIn, or any job sites, and you need to select 3 jobs that you feel like you qualify for now or could qualify for after you get your degree. Select one job from each of those sites, make a list, put the job there, put a link to the job there, and then put a couple of reasons, 3 reasons why you feel like you would qualify for that position. That's the assignment. That's all you need to do other than commenting on other students' lists. And then what you're going to do, though, is you're going to select one of those 3 jobs. And this is for everybody, by the way. Select one of those 3 jobs, and you're going to write your resume and your cover letter for that particular job. So if you're going to be interviewed, everybody's doing that in the class, but if you're going to be interviewed, then you need to attach your resume and your cover letter when you sign up to be interviewed. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute when we go back to the box. So that's the first thing. So all you need to really worry about if you're going to be interviewed is finishing that assignment, which you have to finish anyway, and uploading those documents. And then once you've uploaded them, you're pretty much done, other than the fact that you just need to obviously prepare for the interview, think through your answers for some of the most basic common questions that are going to be asked, do a little bit of research on the company that you're applying for, and make sure you thoroughly have read the job description, all that, because the people who are going to interview you are going to also read your resume, they're going to read your cover letter, and they're going to read the job description. So they'll be creating questions off of that information. So again, your job, if you're going to be interviewed, is to sign up, I want to be interviewed, to upload your resume and cover letter and the job description for the job that you chose to write your resume and cover letter for, and then prepare yourself for the interview, get ready for the day that you'll be interviewed by, doing a little research and etc. So that's what you would do if you're going to be interviewed. But again, all of that, in all honesty, you already have to do the assignment. So everything in addition to finishing your resume and cover letter is probably maybe an hour or 2 of work. And that's thinking through your answers to common questions and doing a little research on the company. If you choose to interview somebody, and that's the second option you have, then your job is to go in there, pick a date that works for you, sign up, say, I want to interview somebody else. And you don't have to upload anything, but you do need to download the resume and cover letter and job description of the person who's in the same folder as you. So when you sign up, you should be able to see everybody else who's signed up, either typed in the top box or down below. And if you look and somebody says, I want to be interviewed, they should also have included their resume and cover letter. Now, do students do that? Not always. In fact, many times I'm hounding them, sending them emails, please upload your resume and cover letter. Ideally, you would get it early. There's been a few times where you get it right before the interview. So in that case, I'll explain what to do if that's the scenario. But either way, you're looking to download their cover letter, resume, job description, and then you're going to be creating some questions for them to ask them in the interview. And you're going to be graded on your attitude and all that. I'll show you the rubrics in a second. how you handle the interview, how you handle the questions, whether the questions were relevant, whether they were clear, those kinds of things. That's what you'll be graded on as the interviewer. So your job is to get ready for the interview by putting some questions together for the person or persons that you're going to be interviewing. So if you go in there and you find there's two people that want to be interviewed, chances are you'll be doing two interviews. So it just depends on how many people sign up that particular day. And if I have enough people to interview and I have enough people to be interviewed, I'll actually break you into groups that same day, that same time, etc. So anyway, so that's pretty much it. And then during the interview, basically, it'll be two rounds of questions from each person being doing the interviewing. So if I'm being interviewed and the four of you or three of you are on my interviewing team, one of you, Sapan, will ask the first question, and then Irene will ask the second question. Ashley will ask the third question. Another person will ask the fourth question. Then we'll go back to Sapan, and he'll ask the fifth question. Irene the sixth question. Ashley the seventh question, and then the other person the eighth question. We roughly keep it around 8 questions. And then I would be answering all those questions. You'd be taking notes. Now, here's the other thing. If you choose to interview somebody else, you'll also be grading that person's interviewing. So you're asking them questions and you're noting down, their answers, and you're actually going to be grading them on how well they answered the questions. And I'll give you a rubric and show you that in a minute. So during the interview, the person being interviewed, if it was me, I'm just answering the questions. That's all I have to do that day. If you're interviewing me, then you have to prepare the questions and then you have to grade me on my ability to, do interviewing, grading my interviewing skills, basically. So that's kind of the difference between the two tasks. And so with that, I'll go ahead and show you I'm going to share my screen here if it'll let me. Stop sharing here. Here we go. Stop share. And I'm going to see if I can share here. So hold on. I'm going to show you the two rubrics. So whatever one I open, we'll start with. So let me know if you can see that mock interview grading worksheet. You guys seeing that? Yes? Okay, thank you, Ashley. All right, so here is the rubric that you would use for interviewing somebody. So if Ashley, Irene, and Sapan are interviewing me, then this is the form or worksheet that you'll be filling out on me as you're interviewing me. So you'd put my name here, name person Eric Doucette, and then you'd put my job title. And by the way, I'll always MC the interview, so I will ask the person, before we get started, tell us the job title for which you have applied. Now, we should know that already if we looked at the job that they chose, but sometimes it's just we want to make sure everybody has the same job title listed. So if you're interviewing me, then you'd write my name in the first box, and you'd write the job description or job title for which I'm applying, and then we would be doing the interview. So as you're doing the interview, you're just looking for these 5 things. Number 1, confidence. So how prepared was I for the interview? Did I play the part? Did I take it serious as an assignment? Did I have things needed in hand? So maybe did I bring a resume? Did I bring, a pencil? Am I taking notes? Do I come across professional, confident, personable? So that's the first category that you're grading me in, and it's anywhere from 0 to 20 points. So you just put in what you think. Oh, they nailed it. Give them a 20. They were really struggling. Give them a 10. Whatever. Second one is clarity. So did I answer the question being asked? Sometimes people in an interview answer the question they want you to ask, but they don't answer the question you've asked. So make sure the person is answering the question, and were their answers clear, articulate, were they detailed enough? That's a big one. A lot of times people give very minimal answers, and if there wasn't enough detail, I can't really learn anything about you. So make sure they're detailed. But either way, you're asking yourself, is this person's answers detailed, or did they get off on other topics that were irrelevant to the question? So you're grading them on basically how clear did they answer the question. And then the next category is content. So did their answer demonstrate that they understand the position, that they understand the job, that they would be good fit for the job, In other words, that they have the experience necessary to do it, and that would be the content of their answer. They can be really clear, but not have the right content. So those are separate. Again, you're judging them from 0 to 20. And then congeniality is the fourth category. And that is, were they friendly, gracious, positive? Were they engaged? Were they interested? Were they looking at you? In this case, we're doing it in Zoom. So are they looking at the camera? And then a big one is, are they enthusiastic? Because the last thing you want to do in an interview is be humdrum and dreary. You want to be excited that you have this opportunity to potentially be working at this company. So you're judging them on whether or not they showed congeniality. Were they friendly? Did they introduce themselves? Did they thank you for your question? Those kinds of things. And then the last category that you'll be grading them in is conclusion. And it's basically, would you hire them? Would you hire them? What's your overall impression of them? And would you hire them? And so if it's definitely I would, it's a 20. If it's not at all, it's a 0 or anywhere in between. But on the last question, I do ask you to give your reasons. So explain why you gave the answer you did for the last question. So if you said definitely I would hire them, then you need to tell me why. What was it about their interview? They answered the questions clearly. They seemed like they were a really good fit. They were more than experienced for the job. Whatever your reasons are, you want to list those. And if you gave them a low answer, a low score on that last one, tell me why. Well, they didn't answer the questions clearly. They didn't demonstrate that they were a good fit. Whatever reasons you have for not giving them a good score, whatever reasons you have for giving them a good score, you need to tell me why. So, and just so you know, we will be completing these rubrics after the interview during the Zoom session. So I will make them available to you in the chat, and you should be able to download them and actually complete them and then re-upload them, because I can't get them from all the students if I don't make you do it right then. So be prepared to stick around for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes to complete the form, because if I let you go and then you're off and I never get your sheet from you, then I'm pounding you. It's a lot of extra effort on my part to go after all of these sheets. And the first semester, I just said, yeah, do it on your own time and get it back to me. And I probably only got back about 60-70% of them and had to do a ton of emailing to get them all back. So I don't want to do that. But just do it in the Zoom session. You can upload your completed form, and then I have it and we're done. So that's the form you would fill out if you're going to be interviewing somebody else. And so if you're being interviewed, this is what you're being judged on, these 5 things. And now I'm going to be the one grading, just so you know, all of you who are doing the interviewing. So I'm going to be sitting in on the interview. I'm going to be listening to your questions, and then I'm going to be grading you based off of this rubric that I just put up on screen. So if you see there, it says rubric for interviewer. So your name, name of person being interviewed, and then the name of the person doing the interviewing. So my name would be in the first box, Eric Doucette. Now, when I do this class live, I actually have other students grading the people doing the interviewing. But since we're doing it online, I'll be the one grading the people doing the interviewing. So it'll be my name first, then the person being interviewed, whoever that is on that meeting, and then your name here. I would put your name here because that's who I'm grading. So, and then the same thing, the same 4 areas of they're same as the first 5 of the person being interviewed, but for you it's only 4 because I'm not hiring you. So again, it's confidence is the first one. So I'm going to grade you from 0 to 25 on whether or not you were confident, that your questions came across professional and personable, that you demonstrated professionalism in how you asked your question and the question you asked. Clarity, how clear was your question? And questions, because sometimes students ask these really complex, vague questions and they're hard to answer. And the person being interviewed has to go, I'm sorry, could you please repeat that? Because it's so complex. So make them simple and clear, make sure they make sense, and that they're not closed-ended. In other words, if the person can answer yes or no or a one-word answer, then that's not a good question. It needs to be open-ended, where the person has to elaborate to give you the answer that you're looking for. So that's clarity. And then content is the question relevant to the position. So I'll be judging you on that. Like, is the question relevant? Like, it could be a good question, but it has nothing to do with the job or nothing to do with the company or nothing to do with the position. So I'll grade you on that from 0 to 25. And then the last one is congeniality. Were you friendly? Were you engaging? Were you positive? Were you helpful? Did you introduce yourself before you started asking questions? All those things you'll be graded on. So this is the 4 that I will be grading you on as you're interviewing somebody else. So those are the rubrics that I'll use. So let me show you then, kind of in closing to our meeting, how to, again, sign up for a meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen on this other computer. I'm going to go ahead and should see that I'm in the assignment still that we were going over. So I'm going to exit out, and I'm going to go back to one of those mock interviews. Now, remember, these are not the right dates and times yet, so don't sign up for any of these yet. I will alert you in an email that they're ready, but let's just say that this day and time works for you. Again, you're going to select the assignment date and time. And then I'm the one that puts the names up here. You're not able to edit any of this here. But if you scroll down to the bottom again, you can click reply and then type in the box that opens, I want to be interviewed, or I want to interview somebody else. If you choose to be interviewed, please attach your resume and cover letter and the job posting you selected. If you choose to be an interviewer, you will view the resumes and cover letters and job postings of all interviewees to prepare your questions. And then number 5, get prepared and return to this page on the day and time of your interview. So you sign up here. You also return here on the day and time in which you're going to do your interview. You can select this link right here. It'll bring you into the interview with everybody else. And so once you do that, once you click reply, I'll just use this. I'm going to be changing it all anyway. And it opens a box, and all I need to do is say, I want to be interviewed. All right. So that's all I need to say. Now it's attached to my name. So when I click reply on the right side over here, it's going to put Eric Doucette, I want to be interviewed, and you'll be able to see it. But in this case, because I want to be interviewed, I need to attach my document. So I can use this little paperclip feature, click attached. I can navigate to wherever the folder is that I have my resume and my cover letter to, and also the job posting. I'm going to attach all those documents. I'm going to click open. It's going to show them all right here. And then I would click reply. And then notice it has my name and it has I want to be interviewed. And you should also see the documents here attached. So if I come in and I go, okay, well, I want to interview somebody else, as this young lady did. I'll just do that as well since I'm already here. I want to interview someone else. And that tells me I'm not wanting to be interviewed. I just want to be an interviewer. I don't need to attach anything. I can just click reply. And then I should be able to go to mine right here. And when I look at this one, you'll be able to click it. You should see my documents in here. And I should be able to download those documents. So I can't see it because I didn't attach anything. But if you have any problem with that, let me know. Also, just so you know, when the students complete those assignments, I have access to their documents as well. So if they forget to put them in here, if you reach out to me, I might be able to download their documents and put them in there under my name. So what I'll do, though, is once you've signed up for one or the other, so like Eric Doucette says, I want to interview somebody else here, then what I would do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to edit this assignment, and I'm going to actually go into that list and I'm going to actually add my name. So Eric Doucette said he wanted to interview somebody else. I'm going to type his name in. There it is. I want to be an interviewer. If I said I wanted to be interviewed, then I'd put your name up here, Eric Doucette. And then what you do is when you come into this assignment, then when you're going to sign up, you're going to see on that list, the first thing you're going to see is who's going to be interviewed and who's going to be doing the interviewing. Or you can scroll down and see who's all signed up. So look at Sapan already signed up for that date, but you can't do that date because it's not the right date. So anyway, just so you know, once I open these up, you can come in and do it. And it looks like Kimberly also signed up. So I have to let everybody know those dates and times are not going to work. So I might be able to do the date and time, but maybe not the date. So, but I could probably do, let's see, you guys both signed up for that 12/2. Let's see when that was again. I think it was next It wasn't next week, but the following week. Let me see. Sorry, because I could change it the date and keep that one alive if I want to. The other ones need to be changed. So anyway, I'll do this today, so it'll be done. But let's see, that's April 21st, and that's incorrect because that date is not this week. It would actually be, it would already passed, so it wouldn't work. So, but if it's the same Monday of that week, that would be five. What? Take a look. It could be five. 5/4 is the last date. I don't remember what the dates were again. Let's see. That was 5/5 to 5/11. So the date would be 5/5. That would be 5/5. I don't know if that still works for you, Sapan, or not, but if I changed it to that week, since you already signed up, it would actually be 5/5 at 4:30 p.m. This is what I need to do. I need to just go ahead and change all the dates. And I'm going to go ahead and put, have nobody to be interviewed yet for that date. And I don't have Draven. He's not there, but I do have Sapan. So he said he would do it. On P. Oop. And then I think it was Kimberly. I don't remember her name, and I have to close it to find out what her name is. But let me, just for fun, you guys are, I'm doing this with you. When do I want to alert everybody about that? Yeah, I'll do it today. That way they'll see it as an option available today. Right? So I'm going to come back down to that. And I'm going to see who else signed up. So let's see. That was me, so I can delete that. I don't want to be interviewed. And that was me as well. I don't want to be interviewed. I don't want to interview anybody else. I don't know if you can delete them, but I can. So here, Julia signed up for April 22nd. So I want to interview somebody else. I want to be interviewed. Sorry, Sapan, I put you in the wrong spot. And then I want to be interviewed as well. So both Kimberly and Sapan want to be interviewed. So I'm going to highlight Juliana's name here. So the problem when I do this, I have to go in and, and I have to edit, and I can't see the names anymore once I edit, but that's okay. So sorry, I'm going to do Sapan to be interviewed. And I'm going to do Kimberly to be interviewed. It's Kimberly's last name I don't remember. But I'm going to scroll down here, and then Sapan doesn't want to be interviewed or do interviewing, but he does want to interview somebody else. So she does. All right, I'm going to remove the link. So there's Julia. All right, so I just don't remember Kimberly's last name. So I'm going to have to save that. Go out one more time. It was Kimberly E is her last initial. So I'm just going to change that real quick. I guess I'm doing it on the 5th at 4:30 at this point. So any of you online are welcome to join me and Sapan on that particular day. All right, so now that one's up to date and available for students. And there's the 3 people so far that have signed up. So Sapan, you need to upload when you get it done as soon as possible. Upload your resume and cover letter in your job description to this. So you can just basically come in here and click reply. You also could come back up here and click reply. Either way you want to do it. Just make sure you click reply either here or next to your name, and then attach your documents.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, so that's pretty much it. Do I have any questions on this assignment? And again, I'll be emceeing the whole thing, so we'll all be in there. I'll be in there with you guys, and then I'll kind of get the whole thing started. And then if I have 2 going on at the same time, I'll bounce back and forth between the 2 just to get to hear you ask your questions, so I can grade you on the questions. So right now we have Sapan, Irene, and Ashley. So Ashley and Irene, you guys need to sign up, but the only date available now is Monday. But I'll be adding about 5 more dates times. All right, no questions or any questions? Please let me know. Okay, thank you, Ashley, for the reply. Irene, are you okay? Anything? No questions? All right, Sapan, any questions?
No, I think I'm all right. I think I should be good. If anything,